Well, there you go. The message is loud and clear, and I'm really pleased to welcome to our coverage today Seyi Akiwowo, who is involved in Glitch, the CEO, the founder of the charity, and Glitch exists just to make the internet a safer place for everyone. Look, we're going to try and talk, which is the difficult conversation, about what the answer is to all of this, because we've been having the kind of conversations about what's going on for too long. Yeah. So before we get to the answer, the solution, what it might be, let's just talk about the cause, because we've seen some famous faces there, but it's not just the famous faces that are getting this. Tell us what you see at the charity.
Yeah, so we work with predominantly women from marginalised backgrounds as well. And the stories we hear is heart-wrenching. People who've been told to kill themselves, sent death threats, and it's just now another barrier for people being able to participate in society, in politics, in football. And it's now having a massive polarising effect on our communities as well. And often people just disregard online abuse as banter or something that we should just be able to be resilient to. But actually, it's death threats, it's doxing, which is spreading personal information of somebody online. It's having an impact on children, on livelihoods, and it's enough now. It's time to draw the line. It's time to say that hate is not part of the game. Hate is not part of a society, and we need to start looking at some of the solutions so that we are all part of the solution and not the problem.
Yeah. So to be clear, a weekend like this, when we are all coming off social media and making a stand, and you'll see, you know, football clubs like Palace and Manchester City joining in that as well. There are people who this weekend are self-harming, considering suicide. You see this at the charity, and that is a direct result of abuse on social media. That's the scale of it.
I've had letters from old people saying that they don't know how to help their children who are suffering. They're seeing their mental health dwindle. I had a letter from an old woman called Nana who said that she commends me for the work that Glitch is doing to try and tackle this issue, because her young niece committed suicide not too long ago. And it's really important that we understand that what we're talking about is life and death, and we have to draw the line. Hate is not banter. Hate is not a game. Hate is wrong.
Absolutely. Just give us an idea of what you think the solution is against the backdrop of your own personal experiences of how bad it's got for you guys.
Yeah, well, in terms of personal experience, yeah, I've been targeted and I grew enough of a thick skin to kind of deal with it. But it's the reason why I don't follow family members. I don't follow my children or my wife or certain family members, because I know I'm not strong enough to deal with the hate they get and the abuse they could get, and the reaction it may cause from me would impact all of our lives. So that is a concerning part of it. Like, just thinking about it now, I'm getting emotional and I get tense. And as I said, it's passed off as banter way too often for it to not be taken seriously, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things that scares me and annoys me is that, you know, you take the game back as far as you want, you know, from Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham, John Barnes and those days, and what they went through as players, like in the 70s to the 80s, and then, you know, John Barnes especially, like, throughout the 90s, one of my idols. And there was a feeling that actually from the early times to where we are now, that it is improved. Racism is as bad as it's ever been in our game right now. We have gone way back to the dark ages, but essentially doing it on a platform where people can hide. And I think a lot of footballers, a lot of pundits like myself, a lot of us have been speaking in terms of these anonymous accounts that have been formed. And I know me and you've had a conversation about this, Seyi, and you feel that the anonymity is very important for people online, whereas I was very much like, you know what, people need to be accountable for their accounts. I need to know who it is who's being racist. So if you're forming an account, I want some form of accreditation that tells me that it's you and you're the only, and you can't get an account any other way. But I know you've got separate views on it that I think are probably important for people to know, because yeah, they were reasonably, well, they were very valid.
Yeah, and you can establish accountability with accounts and still protect pseudonyms. We need that. We have a lot of our rights and progress that we have in society because people were able to have pseudonyms. We've had whistleblowing policies, we've had amazing bravery just this weekend of incidences because people have been able to have anonymity. So you're absolutely right that we need to have accountability. And there are tech solutions, and social media companies can invest in tech solutions so you feel confident about who you are engaging with. But that doesn't need to descend into just taking away anonymity, which is part of our rights as well.
Look, you know so much about this space. So let's fast forward 24 months, okay?
Yeah.
We don't want to be having these conversations then. So what do you think the media tech landscape should look like in a couple of years? What do you want to see happen?
I'd love for them to be more of an open book. Transparency. We have that with every single company, but but not social media companies. I'd love to see an audit of their algorithms that are making decisions around content moderation, around what should be taken down or not. I'd love to see an audit and transparency around decisions around what platforms or what tweets get thrown into the limelight. I'd love to see more transparency. I'd love to see more investment in safety and education. We're not going to tackle this if we all don't realise that we have a part to play. If we all keep shifting the blame on government, on social media companies, on football clubs, then there's a massive gap where, as we've just said at the very beginning, people are falling through the gaps and that they are hurting themselves.
But Seyi, is there any scope for some form of legislation to be brought into place by the government that actually regulates these companies and makes them be accountable for not acting themselves? You know, Jolyon himself, I've been through numerous weeks of racism. It became a weekly thing that it just became to the point where you don't report it.
Yeah.
I know I need to improve my own education when it comes to social media to protect myself, but surely from a government point of view, something can be implemented on these huge corporations to just regulate how they manage their own businesses.
Absolutely. First of all, Glitch would love to help you with your education on social media companies, but absolutely, we've got one of the most innovative, world-class legislations coming through Parliament at the moment.
Yeah.
But there are still gaps in its legislation to make sure it protects everyday people. It sadly does not protect women from online abuse, and it does not specifically stamp out racism. And if we've seen through the stats from the YouGov research, from this Draw the Line campaign, that online abuse has increased, that it's worse for women, it's worse for religious groups, and it's worse for LGBT communities, we must have regulation that keeps everybody safe, not just the few.
Yeah. Everyone else has had to do it, Jake.
Yeah.
You know, you see it on smoking packets, smoking
Yes.
kills. Gambling adverts now, you can't watch a gambling advert about, there being some wording of the effect that it can have on you, your family, and so on.
Yeah.
You have to, obviously manage that. Social media kills. Essentially, people are committing suicide through the amount of abuse that they're receiving online.
Going back to Jake's question in regards to 24 months, think it now that ESL. Do you think it'll take 24 months for that to be legislation so that doesn't happen?
Yeah,
I think that'll be in place by the end of the season.
24 days, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the worrying thing, is that we're hopeful it can be 24 months, but yet we know other issues will be addressed because it's financial based and backed, that it will be addressed far sooner.
And lastly, if you scroll through your Instagram now, Jake, I'm pretty sure you probably got 2, maybe 3 kind of blackout type moments. I remember there being a red square that the PFA did about 2 years ago. We've got this one now. I'm pretty sure there was one in between that as well. And it's just a bit like, I know a lot of people are doing it, and I back the social media kind of boycott as well. But you can't help but have this feeling inside of you that goes, is anything really going to happen? And that is the horrible feeling.
Yeah, we need lasting change. We need this boycott to be the last one. And it's amazing because football does have immense power. And it's so great to see that this weekend it's front news of many papers. It's on the tips of everyone's tongue. So this is why we have to galvanise and be rallying for lasting change.
What I really want to do just before we finish, though, is I want people that are watching this, because I bet there's a lot of people at home going, yeah, they're absolutely right. I wish everyone else would sort themselves out and stop being idiots online, right? We all have to accept that all of us, the 4 of us, everyone watching at home, we can all be better. So what do you want people to take away from this conversation about how we can just be better people online?
Yeah. For us to be good digital citizens, for us to be able to draw the line, we need to spot online abuse, we need to support the person that's going through it, and we need to report it. If we just scroll away and disregard it as banter and say someone else is going to report it, people are going to fall through the cracks. Spot, support, report.
Love it. Let's get rid of this word banter, right?
Please.
Let's just stop bullying people and claiming it's banter. Listen, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We haven't even got into the conversation about why people feel they need to be how they are online, but that's another conversation for another day. But we really hope that the work that you're doing with us at BT Sport through Glitch, you can find out. What's your web address?
fixtheglitch.co.uk.
There you go. Go there, find out a bit more. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Massively appreciate it. Thanks, guys.